Hello, everyone. Hope I'm audible. Hey, hi. So let me know if I'm audible, and accordingly, I can just continue with the class in the live session. You can put up your thoughts in the chat section, and then we can start with the live session. Yeah. One second. Hey, hi. Sorry, there was a trouble in getting connected. Uh, Hello all. Good evening. So we are here today to discuss about this subject, secretarial audit, due diligence, and compliance management. We've done this brief, session on this where me and Alok have discussed about each chapter-wise thing about how this entire, structure of the syllabus has been bought into, what was the background of getting all this. And then again, also on the other hand, we've also looked into how the different aspects of compliance management, or be due diligence, everything have been combined, have been put together in the syllabus, right? I'm not going to be really making this a very disinterested or a sort of boring sort of a session. I'm going to be keeping this more in a very interactive and a simple way. So what you can expect from this live session could be this, that I will be discussing first initially with what is the background and how to go and approach this entire subject as a whole. That is one part of it. And the second thing is more of like, we'll be breaking down on each of the few topics, which is very relevant and important, and which is going to give you and fetch you good marks. And the third part being the syllabus division, like how is it being divided, what will fetch you good marks, what are the things that you need to be concentrating on. Then I'll take up this very simple anything it could be. You can even ask me in the chat section to explain of any of the topic. I'm more happy to do that. Or otherwise, I'll take up myself and I'll explain your topic and see how we can actually try understanding this topic in a very different and a very professional manner. And the last being is that I'll explain you what you can expect from the class, right? Like in once you subscribe or once you kind of make a will of joining this class, what you can expect is something that you can see, right? So this is all overall what you'll be what you can expect in this live session. So without wasting much time, let's move ahead. I'm super excited for this session, so I don't want to waste even 5 minutes of my time. If you have any thoughts, start putting out in the chat section. More happy to answer. um, Either anytime you want to stop me, let me know. I'll kind of see it and stop myself, right? Awesome. Audit, due diligence, and compliance management. And why is this really important? So even before we go ahead, this particular paper is in module and the paper 4 of module 2, if I'm not wrong. And we will be discussing predominantly about compliance management for 40 marks, secretarial audit, and due diligence for 60 marks. Well, there are times when I kind of like misplace the names. Secretarial audit, compliance management, due diligence is something that all in all is the same thing. So don't get confused by that. It's just that I'm kind of used to it. So that's the reason it just comes out that way. Anyway, coming back to a topic of compliance management, especially in specific, what do we understand by this? See, of course, as I told, we've done like each chapter wise analysis and chapter wise understanding, which will also be going through in this section as well. Not at a very in depth level like what we did in the last time. This is going to be more practical and an informative sort of a session. Hence, I'm going to be keeping it very simple. I don't want to bore you down. So, hence, what is a compliance management? See, it's a very simple angle. Every business objective or every business has this goal of achieving its targets, achieving its profits, and various other things, right? Also, on the other hand, we have some set of law prerequisites or requirements as these needs to be complied. So, in order to put together both and integrate and put in place so that even the goal of a business is achieved and also the compliances of the company is being achieved, both to put together, there has to be a system which manages this, right? Hence, this is what is called as a compliance management. Of course, it's a very, like it's something that cannot be described in 2 or 3 lines, but I tried incorporating it because this is where it comes from. And coming back to secretarial audit is the only audit that you will be studying in this subject. Because if you see when we go through the big, kind of breakdown session of understanding each of the chapter, we will understand, the kind of base CS Institute is trying to give to understand secretarial audit is what are the techniques involved in secretarial audit? What are the issues which goes around? So what are the principles involved and what is how to form an opinion? Then if we study the secretarial audit chapter or the kind of topic alone, it'll really make us really fetch good marks, right? Not only about fetch good marks, it also makes us understand the things in a better manner. So that's about the secretarial angle, audit angle. I'm sure you would have really learned about the meaning, not that I'm going to be going in depth. What majoritively we will be studying in this particular entire section of secretarial audit is we will understand to what sort of a companies it is applicable, why is it relevant, and how well we can incorporate this thing. Just 1 second. Sorry, my bad. So we will be incorporating all that. Of course, we will also be studying about the auditor if you're appointed and what goes and what is something as a mindset that you need to have, to make a better report as science, sorry, my bad, due diligence part, which is even more important. The reason being, this is a very new topic. Predominantly, it's a super informative topic, especially for us as a company secretaries. The reason being, I'm telling you again, is that see, I did a due diligence. I can really tell you do a 1 or 2 due diligence of a company, in-depth analysis and due diligence will go through because I would call it in a short form as an extensive audit. So, well, I don't want to bore you down again, giving a lot of brief about everything. This is more like what is compliance audit, what is compliance management, what is due diligence, what is secretarial audit, is everything that we have understood, right? So now, before wasting much time, let's go and understand how it's going to look like. And anytime if you want to stop me, let me know, put your thoughts in the chat section. But now have not got much chats. You can always put your thoughts in the chat section and let me know how you're looking at this, right? Awesome. Thanks, guys. I will just share my screen and you can start seeing the different that we will be doing. Okay. Yes. So here we are in this, which is Secretarial Audit, Compliance Management, and Due Diligence. And we will be learning that why certain things is important. As I said, categorically, this entire subject is divided into two parts. I'm just going to zoom in for you for your better understanding, right? Already understood. So this supposed to be is for secretarial audit due diligence, right? So why is it relevant, guys? And a part of compliance management or a secretarial audit and due diligence is important. See, this is that particular angle is the compliance management, especially. I would call this as a, it's a beautiful segment. I would call it as an easy segment to score marks. I'll tell you why. Is because this segment is like a bonus, right? I would call this a bonus. I'll tell you why. Is because you can hit that magic number of 40 marks, which all of us work hard towards. That is one. And the syllabus containing the compliance management is very limited, right? It's about 8 to 9 chapters. And if you are very well versed with them, then you can hit this number. So, which is a magic number for us, especially as a professional students, right? So that's a background or an advantage of a compliance management part. Then part two, secretarial audit and due diligence. I would not say that don't study this because your bonus number or the number that you got is already already procured in the compliance management. That's not the case. This is important for us to hit that another amazing number of 60 marks, the exemption marks, right? This is what we should be aiming for students. Again, I'm stressing on it's the super number, I would call, right? I would call this a super number. The reason being is that you have an exemption in your hand. There is a lot and lot of advantages you can be having for yourself. So that's about compliance management, secretarial audit, and due diligence division of marks, right? I'm telling you, I'm stressing you again, complete the compliance management, even if you're studying things on your own, or if you want to really have a strategy towards having to read the subject. Secretarial audit due diligence is something that, you will have to be understanding for yourself. Okay, awesome. So that's about the division of how this entire syllabus of secretarial audit and due diligence is being done. Now let's go and deep dive and understand what the syllabus analysis would look like. Before that, there's a segment of legal and regulatory framework. Why is this given? Because this is given for us to understand that, hey, in this particular subject, we will be studying all these different regulations, and we will have to be making sure that we are aware of all these regulations and rules, and even for that matter, any sort of a law under the various acts mentioned here. So it could be SEBI, it could be auditing standards, it could be even for that matter, depositories act at various stages, everything, like a lot of small bits and pieces are involved and incorporated in this subject, right? Awesome. So now let's go and understand each of them at a very deeper analysis or deeper understanding. So the part two, one that we're talking about, the compliance management part. Why is it important? This is important because, as I told, it will just integrate both the business goal of the company and also, right, and also along with that, compliances which regulatory bodies require us to maintain, right? So that's the need of the part one, which is compliance management. Then we go ahead and understand the internal control system preparation of various search and status report. Well, I'm sure they've tried of, putting everything under a one single segment. How I would like to, see this compliance management topic or an entire part one as: first, go with understanding why a compliance framework is important and what a compliance framework would mean. So, mostly compliance framework, as I already told, is most like a system which integrates different applicable laws and the business objectives. And then understand, hey, you know what? These are the systems which is needs to be in place. But what are the compliances applicable for the each company is what is mentioned in chapter 2, which is compliances, right? Awesome. Then comes a stage of understanding or maybe deviating a little bit in our topic, which is called KYCs. So I'm just going by the way how this particular entire subject has to be learned. The reason being is that if you learn it in this way, it's going to be more useful and you will try finding out an entire circle of how this can be done. So if next, if you understand the chapter 5, which is KYCs, you will try getting to understand why a KYC is important, how relevant it is for a company, especially, and compliance with the applicable various compliances under the various guidelines or even standards. Everything is something that you will study in the KYC chapter. So first, you've understood what system has to be there in place. Then we will understand the different type of compliances applicable for a company. Then we will understand what is that KYC is very, which is very important for a company, right? And now we're talking about KYCs. I'm sure KYCs would include memorandum of association, articles of association, even for that matter. Small electricity bill is also KYC, guys. Again, I'm stressing on KYC could be anything. This could be even a director KYC, or this could be even for that matter. I'm just zooming just to make sure that the screen is filled and it is easy for you to read it. So hence again, I'm stressing on this could be even of the simplest electricity bill, but understanding that is very important because once we try, putting the KYCs properly in check, that is when we can report in a better manner, right? So that's about the KYCs. Then we will come back to chapter 3, which is documentation and maintenance of records. So far we've understood, or we've been talking about, hey, you know what? I understood about compliance framework. I understood about compliances. I understood about what sort of a KYCs are to be kept, how important it is. But how do we save it, right? How do we save this is something which is mentioned in documentation. Sorry, my bad. Give me 1 second. Yeah, documentation and maintenance of records. Okay. So this could be the way of keeping it in a physical way, or it could be the way of keeping it in an electronic form. This could be in all different ways. How do we maintain it is what is mentioned in documentation and maintenance of records. Then, now that we have understood, there is a concept of compliances, KYC understanding, maintaining the same KYCs and various other documents of the company. There will be two different sort of checks which happens. One at an internal check, the level of documents that we have kept, and then at a external check. What does this internal check would mean? Internal check would mean of preparation of things called compliance charts, okay, and having to do some sort of a reporting internally within the company, and maybe based on that doing a training and implementation, creation of compliance framework. Everything is what is an internal check. But there are few checks which happens on the KYCs of the company, along with various of the documents and the kind of compliances maintained. That will be search and status report and signing and certification, right? What is this search and status report, guys? Again, I'm stressing on. I've done a video on this. Please go and watch that. But in a small, if I have to give you an explanation about search and status report, this is most likely which will talk about the kind of different searches or reports which will be existent. and what are the different laws which will be, applicable for a company. This especially happens to be important in a banking and financial industry like mine, which I'm working with, right? This is so important that this report is like a, credit report of your company. It's like how much you guys owe, like in terms of money, how much you have borrowed, how much you owe to people, and what is the level of compliance status of your company. Everything is mentioned in this search and status report, right? So there are different, again, few search and status report which is used in IPR laws, property title search, and everything. But predominantly, try understanding that search and status report under Companies Act is more important for us. So the thing which needs or which will get checked is the charge forms, guys. Again, I'm stressing on this. The thing which will get checked is the charge forms, and they will understand the kind of loan history of your company. And then lot of regulators use this. I'm telling you, it could be, SEBI, it could be RBI, it could be the bank which is giving you money. Various authorities use this particular report. Okay. So now let's come and understand the other external check which happens to be in the place, which is signing and certification. People do call in the annual season that it's a bread and butter of CS or practicing professionals, especially. The reason being is that they're supposed to be given so much of, onus or responsibility on them to certify the, the financials, and also the kind of understanding of how a company has been operated in the entire last year or a last financial year, or whatever the financial year that they are certifying to, right? So that's more of signing and certification. So far we've understood why compliances are important, why a compliance framework is important. We've kind of got connected through the way of understanding the KYCs, then the documentation and maintenance of records. Then comes the fact that a check of search and status report by an external party, and also in another way, another check is the signing and certification by a company secretary in practice, or this could be by the way of signing and certifying the annual return, or certain other reports required by the SEBI, and certain various obligations and penal provisions, right? Awesome. Now, last but not the least is the segment wise role of company secretaries. So, if we have understood so far, this is like a life cycle, guys. I'm telling you, I'm really saying this. It's a cycle of work which happens in a corporate, right? We go as a company secretaries, we are required to understand the compliances, we're required to form a compliance chart. Then there are times which we also are required to maintain KYCs, certain important KYCs. We are required to maintain certain
Hey, hi. We're very sorry. The internet connection got really bad and had to, get this thing. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna get going, right? Let me know if there's any trouble. And I can see Krishnaveni. Hi, Krishnaveni. Sorry if I've not been able to see certain people. That's because of the internet connectivity that I have. Yes, we were explaining the role of company secretaries, right? The last but not the topic of company secretaries. The reason why this particular thing is important for us, especially as professionals, is because see, if at all, if I have to be managing the compliances, if I'm given a role of understanding, the documentation, the process of, as I was explaining the life cycle, first they would expect you to understand the compliances of the company. Then they would go and deep dive and tell you, hey, you know what? Now you've understood the compliances. You can guide us through the compliances chart. Please maintain a chart. Then you would be required to maintain certain KYCs, which is confidential ones, and in order to do that, right, I'm saying you, in order to do that, just 1 second. Um, okay. So in order to do that, again, I'm stressing to you that in order to do that, this was very much required for us to hold, right? Hold it responsible that we maintain certain documents in a proper way. So that is where the chapter documentation and preservation of the records comes into picture. Then there is a cycle of checks which happens both internally and externally, as we discussed. Internal check being that they would want, especially us, to have like an internal compliance charts on a regular basis. We're kind of checking, so that's a checking that is required. And there's also another aspect of a check, which happens to be what? Which happens to be that it will allow, right? It will allow an external party to understand the compliances. And this is where the search and status report will come into picture. And also, what other thing will come into picture? Signing and certification of few certificates, which is required as per the various laws. It could be SEBI, this could be RBI regulations, this could be something that was even giving someone who's a loan who could ask for a search and status report. So yes, I did explain you about the search and status report. I've done a video especially on it. You can go and check it out. But that's about the cycle. But in order to play all these things, right? In order to do all these things, there's supposed to be a role of a CS, right? So we're not someone who's just an alone or a facilitator or someone who's just there out, just helping people or like doing an admin work anymore. We're there as an advisors to the board. We're there as a flag bearers of certain non-compliances. We're there as a people to facilitate the work of better compliances. So we are called the governance professionals. Again, I'm stressing to you guys, when I joined my corporate, the kind of way how it was looking at us, the kind of way the entire process had to be, the entire structure of it, how it was developed, was something which was there. And the role of CS is definitely vital, right? So, as I said, sorry about the trouble. The connectivity lost for like 5 minutes. We're very sorry about it. Guys, I see Divya Prabhu, I see Krishna Veni. If you guys have any questions, put out in the chat section. More happy to answer. If you want to stop me at any point of time and want to ask me questions, you can unmute yourself and also say that, or otherwise put out in the chat section, right? Awesome. Uh, that's about part one, guys. That's about 40 marks. As I said, it's like a limited chapters, bonus topics, hit that mark, hit that target number of magic number, right? The magic number of 40 marks, which all of us struggle for, is to hit that. And this is where this entire chapter, or sorry, entire segment or a part plays into role. So that's about part one, guys. Now let's move into the part two. As I said, this session I really wanted to be more interactive. So hence, I'm asking you guys to come out, put out things in the chat section. We can have a discussion, and I can take up, as I said, I can take up any topic that if you want, and we can start off with a small bit of understanding of 5 to 10 minutes thing, and then we can move ahead, right? So that's about it. Let me know if you have anything. Otherwise, I'll assume that I can go ahead and take up the next topics. Well, before that, what we have looked at so far is we've got a brief understanding, we've got a syllabus-wise analysis of what happens to be 40 marks, what happens to be 60 marks, and why 40 marks is important to reach that bonus point. And now we will target to get that super number, or yeah, that's what I said, right? That super number, the number which looks like a star to all of us, as especially as a professional students. That's because 60 number is an exemption number, right? And I remember, so this was my experience, not to tell you, doesn't want to brag, but I would say that this was just before the day of my financial management exam, and I was about to go and write it. Apparently, the problem that I faced was that before the day before, I was writing information technology, right? That information, IT subject. And I did not realize my hands were paining like really bad. And I couldn't solve a lot of questions. I was almost in the tears. I didn't want to write my exams. Yes, we also have stories, guys. Don't think that we don't have stories. We do have stories. So I really thought that this was getting a little too much for me. And what I realized is I was like, hey, you know what'll I do? And somehow I kind of made my mind up. And then it took me to a level where I just went, I wrote, I had I'm really literally telling you guys again, I had no confidence or like not even a single hope that, I have not practiced the day before, what will happen. So I went to the exam. So when I was writing, of course, things started to get back because you've practiced for such a long time, and I did it. Okay. Why I told you this is that when I got the results, right, and I had got more than 60, doesn't want to, as I said, don't want to brag about it, but it was the FM subject which I thought had gone really, which I'd really thought, oh, this is supposed to be something that I did not practice. I was crying almost, and I gave it. I was like, hey, you know what? Hope this subject gets passed. But here I was when it got cleared. It was super happy. I was super happy, and that I had hit that, magic, or like I would call that super number of 60 and above, right? So of course I've scored 60 in different subjects as well, but that was like an, sort of a very relaxing moment for me and a very exciting moment for me. So hence I'm saying that super number is something that you should be targeting for. So well, coming back to the 60 marks, topic, or like a part two of the syllabus, we will be discussing more about secretarial audit and due diligence. Well, in this, as again said, this session is mostly going to be, I would try bringing you the connections. I would try bringing you how each of the topics are related to each other, like how we studied in the compliance management. And I'll take up with one of the topics, and then we'll finish this live session. Because as I said, we have done a very own live session on this particular subject. You can please go and check that out. There is a deep, in-depth, single wise chapter analysis which me and Alok have discussed. So Alok have actually asked questions and I have really answered. So it has been more an interactive sort of a section. That could be of a lot of help to you. So here we are kind of looking at a more practical scenario. So overall, you will exactly understand why this entire syllabus of secretarial audit is there for you guys, right? So that's a little bit of it. Now, I would classify the secretarial audit and due diligence into three segments, guys. Again, I'm saying you. Secretarial audit, even before we understand, what they want you to understand is the different concepts of an audit, right? What is the meaning of an audit? Why an audit is important? What are the different forms of an audit, which is not what we studied as an internal statutory cost audit, something like takeover audit, cost audit, or even not cost audit. That was mostly like social audit, I wanted to say. Social audit, insider trading audit, turnover audit, name it, guys, there is an audit on that, right? So that is a different sort of an audits that these guys are asking. Then comes a principles and also the different objectives and the steps involved in the audit process. So here we are. The base of an audit is given for us to do a secretarial audit. This is how we should understand. So if someone will ask me what a secretarial audit and due diligence part contains of, any normal person would say, hey, you know what, it contains of two things, one secretarial audit, one other due diligence. I would not say that. I would say it contains of audit, it contains of secretarial audit, it contains of another important segment, which is due diligence, and another two important things, which is miscellaneous topics, I would say. Miscellaneous topics, I'll come at a later stage. Now, as we were understanding the audit part is where we were supposed to be understanding about the fact that how an audit or a different sort of an audit, what are the different processes involved, how an engagement of an audit should happen between a client and, as a professional like us, what are the principles that we need to follow. Every base of an understanding of audit is understood here. Then we come to a later stage, right, of doing a secretarial audit. This is where an expertise of ours should be utilized. Okay. So here again, I'm stressing on this is where the expertise of us as a professional should be utilized. And that's the reason the background is given to you guys. So secretarial audit, in this particular one or two chapters, we will be studying about the different objectives. That's one part of it. We will be studying about why secretarial audit is important and where all it can be applied and what are the regulation which secretarial audit under which we have to be doing. And certain companies does go beyond, and even if it's not applicable, they get their secretarial audit done, is because this happens in a cases like due diligence, in a big mergers, in a big amalgamations, or in a big synergies, right? So that's one part of it. Then comes our another important part of secretarial audit, which you guys wouldn't have studied so far in executive, would be fraud reporting and also the reporting of various non-compliances. So when you are doing secretarial audit, there applies or there involves a lot of information or a lot, and sorry, my bad, a lot and lot of non-compliances, or this could be something which is even to the smallest to the biggest, right? All that reporting of it, how do you report it? If the fraud involves a lot of amount, maybe less more than 1 crore or less than 1 crore, again on the limits, who do you go and report to? Is it to the board? Is it to the central government? Is it to the various authorities? Is what is mentioned in this thing. So again, I'm stressing on, you would have studied a very little bit about it in the executive, but in a practical scenario, the ICSI wants you to learn this, because next, guys, again, I'm stressing on, few more months to go, you will be out there as a professional, you would be required to do an audit, especially secretarial audit. Then you are an independent professional, you have to be giving an independent opinion. Hence, all this is very important. Then comes the not so the last segment, which is due diligence. This happens to be two of the important chapters here. One is a little more of an introduction of due diligence, various other types of due diligence. This could be legal, this could be turnover, this could be small merger due diligences, amalgamation DDs, or even for that matter, there are DDs which happens to be for even information system. Various DDs happens, and what are the different processes involved in each of the DD, and what is the significance, right? Is all what is mentioned in DD chapter, the first intro chapter. Then comes what is the implications or the implications of non-compliances is what is mentioned in the DD chapter, right? So that's a last chapter, if I'm not wrong. Then there is few other chapters, which is like peer review, and the kind of another chapter of value ethics, and more like on a conduct and everything, professional conduct. The reason why they're put in is because if you are certifying as a signatory, if you are certifying as an independent professional, what you need to include, right? What you need to include, or what sort of a value base you need to have, is what they're trying to ask from you. So overall, we've learned so far is that we have understood why a compliances is important for a company, and why a CS plays an important role. What are the checks which happens to be in the company, and how the circle of life of CS is mentioned in the compliance management alone. Then we come here and understand about the audits, the base that they're trying to give about the audit, different audits which goes about, then the connection of an audit to a secretarial audit. Like once we've understood how we can do the different audits, we can then take up and try doing secretarial audit with a clearer picture. That's about it. And then the due diligence will come into picture. As I said, it's an extensive audit. Hence, there is again a connection. First is the base, then a secretarial audit, then an extensive audit of due diligence. Then, last but not the least, if I have to be doing all this as a professional, what's the value? What's the ethics? What's the morals that I need to have? And in order me to be again reviewed by someone, the concept of peer review. If I'm not sure if you know about this concept, it's the review which happens of a professionals every 5 years or 10 years once. Either CS Institute can select themselves, or for that matter, they themselves can go and get the peer review. It has a lot of disadvantages. Not sorry, my bad, not the disadvantages. It has a lot of advantages. So they can do more audits than the other professionals. So hence, there's a lot of importance which gets involved in this. So that's about the entire syllabus. Of course, there's been a trouble here and there. Sorry about that, that we had to miss few parts in there. So that's a little bit of an overview of an entire subject as a whole. As I said, each chapter-wise thing, we've done this live session. Please go and have a look at it. Any given point of time, if you feel that you're missing out on any of the topic or any of the chapter, let us know. Put out your thoughts in the chat section. More happy to answer. Right? That's about it. And now let me know. As I said, we are at the last stage. What you can expect from this live classes. Okay. Again, I'm stressing you students, what you can expect from this classes is, if at all you know about me, this I should have done it at a very earlier stage, but I'm doing it now. If you've watched any of my videos, or probably attended any of the live section, you would know a little bit about me. Or if not, also, it's okay. I'm a company secretary and a law professional. That's about my education. And what I did was I did my graduation and CS together. I'm a first attempt pass, and I didn't pursue my LLB later. And while I was doing this, I am also working with a fintech startup based out in Bangalore. It's an NBFC, guys. So for me, day in and day out, I handle funding, I handle due diligence, I've handled the various audits, which for that matter, even IS audit, information system audit, which is not so common for a CS to be handling. So I've handled various projects. So that's a little bit about me. And teaching has been my passion. I really wanted to do this because one thing that as a first attempt that I understood is that with the right guidance, right approach, you are there. You're just a step away from clearing. You just as a students want that. And people, especially like mentors or teachers out there like us, if you have been guided by us in a right manner, you can definitely be another first attempt pass, or at least whatever the attempt that you're giving, you can clear without any doubt, right? So with that thing, live sessions, what you can expect, okay? So live classes, what you can expect. So there is already one of the batch that is finished of Secretarial Audit. So we have already video classes ready for you guys. So anytime if you want to even just enroll today, you can have the video classes with you. You can start learning. You can start putting out your thoughts or your questions in the Telegram group, which we have. And please reach us out to the WhatsApp number, which will be shown in the description below. And then you can reach out to us and let us know. But also, on the other hand, what you can expect from us is that you can expect a continuous, association with you until the finish of your exams. I remember there was a student of mine, I don't want to name, this has happened in a really last December exam. That student of mine just texted me, it was late in the night. He said, "Hey, ma'am, like, sorry to text at this time, but apparently I'm stuck in this chapter. Is there anything that you can help me with, or like some sort of a short form?" What I did is I shared some documents with him, and that was such a relief. I'm telling you, I got a text from him after 2 days. I didn't even recall that I had done that, because I kind of stay up late in the night, so it is easy for me to even just chat in the nights also. So that's a different thing. So I did it. Maybe he's got used, and he's used that particular whatever the materials that I share, and he gives me a text saying that, "Ma'am, you know what? All of that classes, along with the classes, that last minute thing what you gave, and the kind of perspective that you gave before the exam, really from that whatever the material that I shared." I was super happy listening to this. The reason being is that it just makes us really happy, because this is a sort of an association you as a students would look forward from us, right? And we're more happy to give that. So that's again, continuous association is something that you can expect from the live classes or the live sessions of us. That's one. And second thing is, we are planning to do every week, but even for the recorded classes, like every week, a session or two of live with you, and try taking up questions, try solving your problems. And also, we also have this thing of giving exams, giving questions, giving out the patterns, doing an analysis of your paper, which I've done myself for my students. So all this is something that you can expect from the classes, right? So overall, as whatever I've promised, I've explained you about how an entire syllabus is connected. I've break down each of the topic for you, not in a very in-depth way, because as I told, it has already been done. So I didn't want it to bore you. You can all go ahead and watch that particular live session. But then here I was wanting to give you a different background about this subject. So I've done that. I've given you the background, and I've given you what you can expect from our live classes. So more happy to take any questions again. Have few people in the live session. If you have anything, or if you want to say how you felt about it, how you felt about the entire session, you can give your thoughts. If there's nothing, then we can end this session, right? And again, as I said, any questions, anything that you have it in your mind, please put out your thoughts in the chat box. Or even for that matter, if you're really interested to join this particular classes, write out to a message to our WhatsApp number, which is provided in the description. Reach out to us. If you want, connect with the respective faculty members, understand their perspective on it. As I again said, I guys don't want to brag it, but I do the subjects whatever I'm doing day in and day out. So any sort of a practical questions you have, I'll be more happy to answer to you. So that's one of the advantages that you will be getting from this entire session. So thank you all. It was amazing that I had this opportunity to do a live session with you all. Any person who's watching this at a later stage, you can also let us know how you felt about it and put out your thoughts. Again, sorry for the trouble that was caused in between because of that internet issues. Again, as I said, thank you. It was wonderful to have you all, and let us know if you have anything, even any thoughts later at a later stage. You can always put it in the comment section or reach out to us to the number provided. Right? Thank you, guys.